without any further ado, I want to introduce Ahmed.
That was awesome. These guys are in there saying we're loud, and we're really going to be loud. I love it. I love it. So, I'm going to... Anyways, well, thanks for being here. Thank you. Appreciate it very much. So we like to start these out by kind of knowing a little bit more about you. And one way to do that is really talk about at least kind of where you came from, and where you're from, and
where was I born?
Where were you born? How that kind of business.
Well, I'm originally from Pakistan, so I came to the U.S. for my undergraduate education.
And where'd you go?
Washington University in St. Louis.
Okay.
So I had a degree in computer sciences and a degree in systems engineering.
Okay. Awesome.
And after that, I moved back to Pakistan after I graduated and worked for a software company for 3 months and quit and started my very first company.
So with that said, what did you do with the first company? So first of all, what inspired you to do that? I mean, was the company that bad? You're like, this is crazy, or I can do better?
I was a stupid, naive young man who thought he knew everything he needed to know and was well equipped to do anything. Had that, what should I call it, the ego of a young person who thought, he already knew a lot. And so I jumped. I started my own company, and I got a lot of work right away. Because I had gone to a high school, actually a K through 12 in Pakistan, in which all the kids of the industrialists had gone to school there too, and they were some of my best friends. It was an all-boys school, and then they had come back to the U.S. for education, just like myself, and then returned. And all of them were interested in computerizing their factories and all that stuff, and I was one of their best friends. So, and I was fairly good at math in school. And incidentally, interestingly, all the kids of the biggest factories and industries there, they were in class. They were the bottom pile, right? I mean, and I was the one helping them out, with their homework and stuff like that, and tests and all that stuff. So, they had a soft spot for me. So I come back, and they want to computerize also. So they go to the family-owned businesses, how it works, and. So I got a lot of work right away. So I mean, as soon as I started my own company, I was flowing with work.
So was that easy to do when you were there?
Well, it was easy to get the work.
Okay.
But it was bloody hard to deliver it. So very quickly I learned that I knew nothing. Okay. Well, I'll give you a little backdrop to this, right? So my very first job, and the only job that I ever had, right? So basically.
So you're telling me no work.
I have fun. We have some of the IP team here, you can ask them. My deal is, they do the work, I take the credit. That's my deal with them. It's working out so far.
Okay, good.
For me.
All right, awesome.
In any case, my job, story of my first job, right? So here I am, I started my job and they give me 3 months to learn COBOL. And these are for only the gray hairs here because all of you millennials don't have no idea what COBOL is. Right?
It's not just a color.
That's right. So they said, okay, 3 months, go learn this language and then we'll put you on a project. The third day, that naivete of youth and that brashness, I walk in the CEO's office, knock on his office and say, can I come in? And he said, sure, come on in. Great guy. Later on, we became good friends. So I said, listen, I've learned all the COBOL I possibly can. In 3 days, how many books do you want to read? In college I learned a few languages already. There's nothing I can do with this COBOL. What do you want me to do? So can you put me on a project? So they're taken aback a little bit, he said, I saying, put me to work. He said, okay, let me think about it for a day. I go the next day, and he puts me on a project. So the project was system analysis for this tractor factory, one of the huge factories over there in the city I was in. So I put me on a project, and it was system analysis, documenting what their systems did, which were manual, most of them, and our job as that company was to computerize them. The first part of it was, of course, to create the system, because the manual systems couldn't be computerized as they were. So, so 1 week later, so I'm studying, finding out what needs to be done, seemed pretty simple and all that stuff. I said, okay, so I went to the project manager. We had 4 people on the team, okay? I was, of course, the low down on the totem pole, right? So I go to the guy who's leading the project. He's a very nice guy, really nice guy. So I said, listen, you know, how about I do all the work, okay? You guide me, you coach me. I think I can do this stuff, and you know, I mean, just I like to, right? Because in 1 week I figured out that nobody was in a hurry. The project team was coffee, tea all the time, and there was no rush to get anything done. And I was this person who was looking to make something happen. Right? I was antsy already, right? So I said, how would I do that? So he looks at me and he says, a little kid, you know, here he's out of college and thinks he knows everything. Okay, sure. So, and he coach me what needs to be done. So he does and tells me what needs to be done. And bingo, I took the work and I was working away. And he would tell me what I did wrong, and I'd fix it, and I got it all done, okay? So that was about just coming to 3 months, okay? So I am sitting there and saying, God darn, it's the biggest software house in Pakistan. I walk in there, I am kicking it over here. This shit is easy, okay? This is easy crap. I mean, I can do this stuff. So in the meanwhile, one of my classmates had started a hardware company, selling hardware, which is a lot easier. You know, you just take a box and you buy from here and you sell to this guy, and not much involved in it, and he was doing great, right? So he was saying, hey, business is going good, why don't you join me? You know, you can do the software part, I'll do the hardware part, and let's start, okay? So I said, damn, I'm damn good. I was the biggest software house in the country, I'm kicking it, everybody loves the stuff I do, I can do this, right? So bingo. So I walk into my last day of my 3rd month. I walk in the CEO's office and I said, listen, it's been a great time here.
Good time visiting. Coffee was good, tea was good.
So, you know, bless his heart, that guy is amazing. You know, he's become very, very successful now. So he basically tried to convince me. He said, Rick, I know, you've done good, no question. But you have a lot to learn yet, okay? So just spend a little bit more time here. You can go do your own thing and all that stuff. And you know, of course I had made up my mind. I thought I was smarter than he was. And you know, so I'm like, you know, yeah, but I made up my mind and all that. So he tried and tried, but I wouldn't listen. I said, okay, thank you very much, good day. So you know, here I start the company and I get to work right away, okay? And you know, it's just, these are my best friends. I've spent 12 years of my schooling years with them, and you know, they come to my house, I go to their house, I know them like brothers, and so who else is going to give software work to but me, okay? They dare not, right? So basically I got a whole bunch of work right away, right? So now came the time to deliver. Oh my God, it was a disaster. It was an absolute and complete disaster, because I didn't know jack, okay? I didn't know anything, okay? So, and here were my best friends who had taken significant risks. It was the first major computerization project that they were doing in their company, in large companies, right? I mean, so this was major stuff, right? I mean, changing their system and all that stuff. And this kid over here is going to people twice my age, sometimes 3 times my age, and telling them we're going to change the system, okay? And of course, I'm the boss's son's best friend, okay? Who the heck is going to stand up against me and tell me, we're not doing this, okay? So it wasn't like I was just a vendor, right? Everybody knew the boss's son was my best friend. And I knew the boss pretty well also because my best friend's father, okay? So basically, nobody would dare challenge me, nobody would question me. I am like, this is what we're doing, okay? And this is what it is. So, of course, just common sense ideas, really. What did I know about business? Nothing, okay? Absolutely nothing, okay? So basically, I go in there, I get involved in the projects, and I'm just, after a little while, I'm bombing it. Absolutely bombing it, okay? And up till this point in my life, I never worked hard. High school, I sailed through, I did pretty well. I got full scholarship in WashU, you know, I WashU floated, you know, partying all the time, did all right, you know, had 2 degrees undergrad, you know, so I was like, you know, I never worked hard, never. Okay, so you know, in fact, the smartest kid in high school was so pissed off at me. I was a good test taker, and you know, like common sense a little bit, right? So I would they'd be working the whole night, and I'd be freaking partying, show up next day, do well on the test, when they have been working their butts off, right? So they were like pissed off a little bit at me, and what the heck, he gets away with everything, right? So here I am, started these projects, high profile, the whole town's talking about it, right? You know, because you're mixing the same circles, and buzz is going around, they're doing some cool stuff. You know, a smart kid has come back from the US, and he's freaking like, and there I'm bombing it, completely bungling it up, because I really did not know anything, right? So basically, then that's the time I really, really learned to work hard. These were my best friends, and they had taken financial risk on me. They, you know, I raised a little bit of money too, and here I was just screwing things up. And until then, I really had never screwed things up, ever. I had done, sometimes I'd done okay, but I'd normally gotten away with stuff, right? So it was like the first time that I was hit by a bus here. What am I going to do here? So I worked hard. I tried to learn things. I hired a few more experienced people, and most of all, my friends stuck by me, right? They could have easily thrown me out. They should have thrown me, right? Because I was totally screwed. But by the combination of hiring some experienced people and really, really working hard, it took me a year and a half or so to stabilize the disaster that I was in the middle of, right? So and then started working on it. So, and then a few years later, I sold the company and started an export company. But that was my start.
That was your startup?
Yes.
That's amazing.
So after you did that, you went, you did something. When did you come to the?
Yeah. So I built this company. I sold this company, and so again I was on top of the world, right? I mean, I'm 4 years out of college, and you know, already a success, and you know all that stuff. So life was good. You know, so the ego.
So did you know everything?
Then I started figuring out I knew everything again, right? So I thought, darn it, I'm good. I am really good, right? So I said, this Pakistan scrap is too small for me. You know, so I need some bigger project, okay? So I said, okay, I'm going to start exporting software from Pakistan. India was already doing it, and the biggest industrial groups in Pakistan had tried that, including my only employer, right, who I worked for 3 months. He had tried in a big way. He was the biggest software company there, and everybody had failed. Nobody had been able to do software exports from Pakistan in any significant way. So, okay, I said, I'm going to do it. Okay, so what I did was, I started researching the software models. This is 1990. Yeah, 1996. So I started looking at what are all the software, successful software models out there, and I found 3. One was, of course, India, right? I mean, but they were doing the low end of the work, COBOL mostly, right? That kind of stuff at that time, right? So what I found out was that the 3 dominant models, right? One was from India, one was from Israel, and one was from Ireland. All 3 started with I. That was planned, but I didn't know whether it was planned at that time. Okay. So basically, what I found out was that India was doing the low end of the work, but the lowest price, right? And their pitch was, hey, I can do the work at 1/5 the price. Give the work to me. Oh, by the way, we speak English too. Okay. So it gives us the work. Okay. So that was their pitch. Ireland would say that we do the same quality of work. Our education, institutions are comparable to those in the U.S. We will do the same work for you, same quality of work for you, 60% of it. So come to us, right? Then it was Israel, okay? They said, we're going to charge you 125%. Why are you going to charge 125%? Because we are better than you. We're smarter than you, we've got better technology than you, you have to pay us a premium. So then I found out that Israel had the lowest volume and the highest revenue. India had the highest volume, lowest revenue. I said this Israeli plan is better. I think that's a better plan to work on than the other one in India, okay? So what I did was, for the high school I mentioned I went to, so every year the top 10 students come to Ivy League schools to the US. They come here on scholarships typically. And so we have a huge network of people in the US because through the years, it's all boys school with a little usual school, guys bond well when they don't have to compete for the girls' attention. It's amazing what happens when it's an all-boys school, right? You're true friendships then. You're not competing, you're not jealous of anybody, because there aren't any girls there, okay? So anyhow, so we had this huge network, right? And basically, I came to the US, and these kids had gone to MIT and Berkeley and Yale and Stanford and all that, and I recruited about 20, 25 of them. So I said, guys, and our social structure in Pakistan is much like other countries like India or Iran or other places like that. There's no social system to take care of older parents or whatever. So typically it falls on the oldest son to take care of the parents, right? There are no places, no old people's home that you can put your parents into, nothing like that, right? You have to take care of it, right? And so that's the social fabric in most of these places, right? So all of these people who are here wanted to go back to Pakistan mainly for these social obligations to their families that they had, but really the people in computer sciences were a huge risk because there was nothing leading edge going on in Pakistan of all places, right? It was all, COBOL kind of stuff, and these were the smartest kids that come to the top schools here and were among the top students there. They're the best of the best, right? And here they are, and they couldn't really just abandon their career, lucrative careers over there. So I went to them and said, we're not going to do no COBOL. We're going to do object-oriented languages, we're going to do expert systems, neural nets, this absolute state-of-the-art. You come with me. I can't pay you US salary, but I'll pay you a good salary from Pakistan, and we'll do leading-edge work. So, they got a little bit inspired. I was able to recruit about 15 or 20 of them, and I partnered up. By the way, in this process, after I sold my company, I was hot property in Pakistan, right? So I could pick who I wanted to as my investor. I mean, I could say to all the industrial groups, I'll partner with you, okay? I talked to a whole bunch of them, plus these were kids who had grown up with me, right? So I knew them all and all that stuff. So I had the pick. So I picked the largest industrial group in Pakistan and partnered up with them and said, okay, we're going to do exports. So I came there and I recruited these people, I took them back, and it was just like magic. It worked like unbelievably. Because what happened then was, the challenges with India at that time were that even though this person spoke English on the other end of the line, you explained to them what you wanted, but the end result was something completely different because they had no cultural context, right? And you thought you explained it to them, they spoke English fine, you thought they got it, and of course, it's the same in Pakistan, no different, except we had the US trained people leading the teams, right? But those are the people leading the teams. So it was like talking to somebody that you sit across the table. In fact, somebody who's far smarter than you are. There are top schools doing really well. They were like blown away when they were, hey, this is somebody, I'm going to get this skill at a fraction of the price with this kind of a quality. They didn't know that behind that one person were 10 of them who were fresh out of college and didn't know nothing, okay? But they were dealing with this one person, right? So the model just took. So it just absolutely took off. Now everybody does this thing, but at that time in 93, 94, nobody was doing this, right? So, but basically, the company just absolutely took off, and once again, in Pakistan, I was the hero, right? I mean, first company to break into the offshore market and all that stuff. I mean, literally, and in Pakistan, the prime ministers and presidents change very often. You have coups all the time, and all that stuff, so they keep coming and going, Same people, they rotate, they have a deal going on. This time it's you, next time it's going to be you, next time it's going to be you. I will just loot the company while I'm there, and then they'll throw me out, and then you come on, and then you come on, then I'll come be back again. Because they would have forgotten how I looted the country, right? That's the pretty much established system for the last 50 years or so, right? So then they just keep rotating, right? So basically they keep coming back, and here the prime minister, the presidents are wanting to meet with me. India is becoming so successful with their software exports, and they say, how did you do it? Please help us so we can spread this whole thing. So again, top of the world, right? I'm like, okay, I am good. I am really, really good, okay? So that's how it sort of went on. And then I left that company and then started a products company here. Raised about 30 million bucks.
So how did you go from software to products? I mean, what kind of
So one of the big projects that we had during that stress off, the software company was with US West and Time Warner. This was in 93, 94, and basically I had 100 people deployed on the project. And you know, I was myself consulting too. I was living in LA, coming to Colorado all the time. I loved Colorado. Since I was the CEO, I said, we're moving to Colorado. Okay. So we moved to Colorado. Okay.
So it got even better.
Yeah, so it was just getting better and better. So, so I came here but the product that we're building for Time Warner, and they were literally spent about $100 million on this project. But Anderson was involved, so many other people involved. It was the leading edge of what the future of cable over telephony was going to look like, right? It was hot, 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 okay? So I figured, well, good, time to make some money here, right? So I spun off from the company and formed a group of people. And at that time, you know, it was 98, 97, 98, yes. That's the year, right? So basically, you know, angel rounds were $500,000, $300,000. That was the era then, right? And they would tell you that angels will not invest, you know, more than 45 minutes from where they live. They need to be close to the project and all that. But I was, of course, naive, right? So I basically put this team together, went to Silicon Valley, and we raised $3 million. Okay, when we were a company in Denver. Okay, nobody in Silicon Valley, literally that I knew of, had even raised. These days is nothing, right? I mean, this is 90, 97, 98. Nobody had done such a round. You know, I know most of my investors were Silicon Valley investors, right? They were not local. I hardly had 2 or 3 investors from here. Most of them were Silicon Valley, and that's where I just showed up, and I didn't care that anybody thought this wouldn't work. I would just pitch and say, hey, here's what I'm doing. I've got all this experience. We've been working for Time Warner, US West. We know the best of the best of the best. Okay, this is what we're working on. We're going to make this product, you know, and for so raised $3 million again in Denver. This time it was a hero, right? You know, all up there, right? So then they said, okay, let's raise the next round, okay, for money, and I went and found the CEO, this guy who was CEO of a US West subsidiary. And my investor told me, you can't recruit this guy. This guy already made all the money. He's hot property. You can't recruit him. But I worked on the guy. He became a very close friend, and I recruited him as CEO. And we went out and raised $30 million. And I remember somebody approached us. What was the billing company in telecom? They approached us to buy us out a few months after that for $105 million, something like that. We were coughing at him. What the heck? We're going to be a $1 billion company. What is this nonsense? And that was just before the crash came. And then came the crash, right? And that was, oh my God, it was like unbelievable. And of course, I was amongst the last people who caught on that there was a real crash and things were not coming back. But as the market went down, I would invest even more money in the market. Oh, I said, this is coming back, this is just temporary, all that crap. Of course, you know, and every time it would go down further and further and further. So, by that time, then of course, when the bad news hit and all that stuff, the board wanted to fire the CEO and all that stuff, who him and I had become really close friends and all that stuff. So I had to go fight that battle with the investors and say, nothing doing, you have to do. But he had to leave, and they forced him to leave. He stayed on the board. I became the CEO to see an orderly shutdown of the company. So I tried to convince the investors that we've done all this work, let's keep on going. This is require a little bit more money, let's just keep going. And they wouldn't, they just wouldn't. And I remember this guy in Excel who was our lead investor. I was flying to Silicon Valley every week, every second week. So one day he told me, come sit down and talk. He told me, he said, listen, you don't understand this, but you're swimming upstream right now. You can spend the next 5 years fighting this battle, or let it go and start fresh. Okay? So just let it go. And this is not the battle to fight, this is not going to change. So I didn't buy it at all. I was freaking into this company. It was the biggest thing I'd ever done in my life. I still believe in the market, all that stuff. I had done never anything in my life that failed. Never done anything. Okay? I've been lucky till that point, right? So I just couldn't accept it, but at that point I knew that if he was not on board, none of the other investors would step up. So finally, reluctantly, I gave up, right? So, but the next year that followed, the wisdom that he had came back to me that how right he was, you know. And then I even became an EIR for the while and started looking at the company. So, anyway,
So you
next step.
learned some things quite a bit, hard learning, right?
Totally. I mean, I learned more from that failure than I learned from all of my successes. Unquestionably. Unquestionably. It was, when things are bad is when you really learn. Just like my very first thing, when I was bungling up these software projects, I learned over there at that point in time. I learned some lessons that success covers up a lot of your mistakes, right? The right place, the right time, it covers it all up, and you know, it's easy to say, it's all because of me, right? And sometimes just being in the right place, the right time is really the thing, right? So I totally feel that I learned the most from my failures, definitely.
Well, that's good. Well, that's the lessons learned, right? So I'm going to talk about what you're doing at Innovation Development. I mean, you've got an interesting structure, I think. I think it's, at least from what I've looked at and heard and read, and whatever, it's kind of a unique structure. So talk to me a little bit about, you had said in one of your past interviews that you always thought the incubator component was good, was something. I want to know why you think that, or what made you think that back when you first did. And then talk a little bit about how you kind of created the idea for innovation.
So
Then we can talk about the structure.
yeah. So you know, so during my career, besides my day job, I've been very involved in the intersection of community building, policy making, economic development, technology. Governors Innovation Board, COIN, I was the first board member, helped the team make the structure that they are implementing today. Our Secretary of Technology is an IT Economic Development Board, I'm on that, the Mayor of the Tech Board on that. The Colorado Technology Association, I was Vice Chair for 2 years, Chairman for 2 years. Colorado Association of Manufacturing and Technology, now called Manufacturers Edge, which is the federal government's, they are the one who fund us to help manufacturers here in Colorado. I'm the current chair of that. I'm chairman of STEM school in Highlands Ranch, STEM Academy, sorry. And so I've been involved a lot in all of these pieces. And so
these are all outside your day job.
yeah, outside the day job. But over time, and I do all of them at the same time. So basically, you know, 8 years ago I started looking at incubators, and nobody remembers this anymore. This was 2006, 2007, somewhere in that range. Incubator was a bad word. Nobody remembers it anymore. Or if you mentioned incubator, it was like, oh, that's a failed concept, you know, that doesn't work. Because all of the incubators of the late 90s in the private sector had failed. Not a single one was left standing after the bust came. So it was totally a bad word, 100%. That's when I started researching them. And there were only a few outliers that had stepped up and were working it. One was, of course, in our own backyard, Brad and David and Techstars, right? I mean, that was one that was standing up and starting to, at that time it was not that obviously declared success that is today. There was a Y Combinator, which was just starting out and doing stuff. There was a Cambridge Innovation Center in Boston on the MIT campus that had started out. And then there was Plug and Play in Silicon Valley. So these were the only significant models in the entire country, right? So I started researching them and thought, I go to Silicon Valley often. On the average over my career, I've gone once a month. I've been there, have developed a network there. So I started talking to every single one of these incubators, looked at their models, their financial models and all that stuff. And you know, with the hope of trying to put this thing together. And I really I could not conclude that there was an obvious financial model to do something like that. I couldn't figure it out because all of them, the founders were you know, entrepreneurs like myself, and they were mainly doing it because they loved entrepreneurship. They were not doing it to make a successful model. They just loved hanging out with new entrepreneurs, new ideas, new things, and that was their motivation. Everybody except Plug and Play. Okay. Plug and Play's founder, his name is Saeed Amidi. He's from Iran, and his day job was selling carpets. Okay, he used to import carpets and sell them right across Stanford on University Avenue. If you guys are familiar with that geography, he had a shop there on one of the most prime locations where he sold high-end carpets. I mean, he was a successful business guy. No question, bless you. So he was selling carpets over there, and on his upper 2 floors, he would rent them out to Stanford startups. Google started there. Okay, till there was 40 people. PayPal started there. Danger started bought by Microsoft for $400 million. So here he is. He's a landlord of these companies. And somebody offered him early share in Google and he scoffed at it. He was thinking, what the hell kind of idea is this? Okay, he tells the story himself, right? And there in front of his eyes, these companies just take off, okay? And he said, I'm in the freaking wrong business. This is bullshit what I'm doing. Right? I'm working all day and night, and I make this much money, and look at these guys, and what the heck? So he started Plug and Play, and which he got this building for 180,000 square feet building in Sunnyvale. And so I connected with him because the first time I saw an actual financial model who was not doing it because he loved tech, just wanted to make money. He could care less about tech, got nothing about carpet. He could care less. He wanted to make money, okay? And so I connected with him. I connected with most of them, but I connected because his model appealed to me because he was making money. So I said, so he became from my coach. So I said, you're doing this here, why don't we do it all across the company? I want to do it in Colorado. So he said, listen, I don't have a system. We are doing what we're doing here. I have no idea. I know about real estate, okay? It is happening by itself. If you come here and spend time and learn it yourself and make a plan, I'm in, okay? But I'm not going out there, I don't know what can be done. Okay, I said, okay, deal, okay? So I would go spend 3 or 4 days in Silicon Valley at my own cost, right? And he gave me a space to sit, and I would go sit and Plug and Play. And this was phenomenal. It was just to watch Plug and Play with about 180,000 square feet and 300 to 400 companies at any one point in time in that space. It was a phenomenon worth watching. Of course, his interest was different. But I was an entrepreneur myself. I would sit there, talk to other entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley, and just yap with them and figure out what they're doing and all that stuff. And I started documenting everything, right? And really, he was not doing anything much for the entrepreneurs by himself. They were making the stuff happen. He just had a convening space, a physical space that convened. And he rightly so focused on the investors. He was not focused on the companies. He was focused on the investors. You as a VC, what do you want? Okay, so he actually, and I've not seen it anywhere else to date. Okay, so he had a system in which he would he'd go talk to the VC and say, I've got 300 companies. What are you interested in? Right? This is what kind of company that you want to work with, right? So I set up a time with me once a month, give 2 hours of your time, and we'll present to you 4 companies. Okay? And then whichever one you do, of course, they're looking for deal flow. Like, okay, that sounds good. He hires a guy with no experience, no nothing, and puts him on the coordination of this effort. All the job was to call the VC up, set up the appointment, sit in the appointment, because I used to sit in those sessions, right? I started sitting in those sessions, watching what went on. You got 25 minutes to pitch. You have to leave right after 25 minutes. But the incredible thing that he did, unintentionally, because he was doing it for himself, okay? Because he wanted to co-invest with these VCs, okay? So basically what he would, so as soon as you came and you pitched to the 3 of us over here, you would leave the room, I would ask you, is this guy real? Because, but if you ask him, if you ask this VC, he would give you a dodged answer. He would say, yeah, we're not ready for you. Let me think about it. Let me discuss this. and you walk away thinking, oh my God, I aced it, and you have no idea, and I myself had gone through that raising money. Walk out of the VC space, I have no clue whether they have any interest or not. And if I call them, follow up with emails, they never give me the straight answer, never tell me, no, we're never going to do shit or anything like that. It is just, like they keep leading you on. Because in Silicon Valley, the fact of the matter is nobody knows what the big hit is going to be. So everybody's careful, they don't look stupid. You came into my office and told you got a dumb freaking idea. And then you become the Google, right? Then I'm looking, you quoting everywhere that Vic told me I was a freaking dumbass. Yeah. Who's the dumbass here, right? So in Silicon Valley, it happens way too often, right? Ideas that come out of nowhere, in my mind, asinine ideas, that freaking, heck, they go places, right? So anyhow, the VCs don't freaking tell you the story, right? So but in plug and pay's case, I have a relationship with you. I see you every freaking month. So I ask you, I said, Joe, what's the real story, okay? I'm not going to quote you or anything, but tell me the real story, right? So, and then I would be able to coach you truly, and the value I'm providing to you just in that, in my mind, as an entrepreneur myself, who paved the pavement in Sand Hill Road 100 times, right? That was I was just blown away that this guy, who was, I think, fresh out of college, had no background in investing or anything. All he knew was he could get the straight answer from you. That was invaluable. That was absolutely invaluable. Secondly, the founder, Saeed Amidi, he would then, because he never charged the VC anything, right? And he never charged the company anything. Because VCs don't like brokers. If I were charging the company, they get pissed off. They will not work with me, right? That's the culture in Silicon Valley, that's the way it is, right? So I can't charge the company, and the VCs obviously don't pay anything. But if I'm introducing good companies, they're like obliged, they appreciate me, right? So he would ask these VCs to let him co-invest. Small amounts of money, 50,000, 100,000, and piggyback on them, but they're not looking for $50,000, when they're investing millions, they don't want a headache. So it was pari passu in terms of the terms of the financial deal, but non-intrusive. So I couldn't, he couldn't interfere in anything, but I just piggybacked on your investment, put outside of your 1.5 million, I put 50,000, right? So he told me, he coached me that way the whole deal is in real estate, okay? You make the money your first day, okay? That's where the money is. You cannot make money off of a startup. They have no money to give you. If that's what you're planning to do, dream on, ain't gonna happen. Okay, and that was my own experience too, as an entrepreneur and watching other entrepreneurs. That appealed to me, right? So he said, I'll give you my example. Bought this building, 180,000 square feet in 2006. No, before the crash, mind you. Okay, before the crash, paid 6 million. He had other real estate also, right? So he had built up some assets in real estate. So put 6 million down, bought from Phillips with an abandoned fab for them. Right, and then got a loan for $6 million. And in 2010, which was after the crash, mind you, it was 9 or 10, something like that. But when the market was down to the dumps, okay, in real estate, even in Silicon Valley, he refinanced it for $32 million. Okay, so mind you, he put 6 million up and he refinanced with 32 million. Okay, so he was coaching me. You make the money the very first day. I had made my money the day I bought this building. Okay, my job was only to fill it, and I have made a ton of money. Okay, so I worked with him for a year and a half, and I put a whole plan together to expand plug and play all over the country. I started in Colorado and all that stuff, and we were going to be partners. We were going to put half the money, I have half. So I'm happy. I'm going around. So I find a real estate deal, in which we are in right now. Okay. It was a screaming deal that he couldn't even believe it. Okay, he said there's no way this company will sign up. It was a $32 billion fund from New York that owned it, abandoned. It was a foreclosed asset, and well, I became friends with this guy who was in charge of this transaction. We became good buddies, and he bought into my idea and vision. So he said, "I'll support you, no problem. I'll make the deal." So I go back to Saeed Amidi and said, "Let's do the deal." We started. He got some lawyers involved. And then he starts dragging his feet. Dragging his feet, dragging his feet. And the guy in New York is getting pissed off, and I was like, I made you a deal of the century, and it was a deal of the century, okay? And it was an unbelievable financial deal. And here you're screwing with me. I've told my partners, I've told everybody, and you're just screwing with me. So I am with Sai. I'm like, dude, what is going on? I've done everything to yourself. Told me it's an awesome deal. What's the story? So I fly down back to Silicon Valley, and he sit down, and he finally comes up with it. He said that I've done my analysis. I made a lot of money in this real estate, but the $50,000 investment that he's been making, you know, in 5 or 7 deals a year, he said I've made 8 times that money in my investments. Okay, so my brother, who's my business partner, is telling me, "Are you nuts? Why are you going anywhere else? Let's start investing $500,000 a year instead of $80,000 or $100,000 a year, or $200,000 or $300,000. Let's double, triple that money. Why are we going anywhere else? We've got all these deals right here that we are turning away because we don't have enough money. So here, you are going to go blow some more money in Colorado and Chicago and all these places. What for?" So he decided to abandon his expansion plans and up his game from real estate. He moved to becoming a piggyback investor, right? So that was an incredible lesson learned for me, right? So where A is the real estate, B is finding those gazelles. Now, of course, Silicon Valley is Silicon Valley. My own track record in angel investing is abysmal. I kiss myself. Every time I tell myself I'm not going to make another investment, and I get sucked into it, right? The only time I've made money has been in companies I've been involved in, or my close friends who are CEOs in Silicon Valley. Okay? Ain't got made any money anywhere else. Okay? So that's my own personal experience. Even I still live in Colorado because I love it, right? But Silicon Valley is Silicon Valley. Okay? I mean, if you look at the biggest VC funds and all that, you know, the guy is sitting on the board of Google, right? If I'm sitting on the board of Google, I know what companies Google is planning to buy, right? I know exactly the gaps in technology they're trying to fill. Where am I going to make these investments? In those gaps. And my best buddy sits on the board of Microsoft, his best buddy sits on the board of Yahoo, and we're all incestuously in the same bed, right? I mean, I scratch your back, you scratch my back, you scratch my back, you make money, I make money, he makes money, he makes money, everybody makes money, right? We just support each other. That is what Silicon Valley has, not to mention the 500 VC funds that exist over there, right? So, I mean, the second largest place is Boston, where it drops down to 40, right, or 50. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So this game is a tricky game, right? I mean, it's just, in my mind, is really, really tricky. So making money off of startups, you can go gamble in BlackRock. We're probably the same odds, okay? So I don't know, I just love it, you know, and you know, just want to stay involved in it. I'm at a different stage of my life and love what I'm doing.
I want to open it up to the floor. Do you mind?
Please.
Okay. Do you have any questions for Vic? Yeah, Ben.
If you were to invest in one right now, what are you looking for from a startup that you'd be willing to put money into? Say someone in this room has this idea. They come to you and say, "This is it." What are those words?
IoT. Okay? It is so we've already seen, you know, what happened.
Internet of Things.
Internet of Things. Okay? So, you know, you may have heard that already, right? So basically, if you look at McKinsey and Gartner and their projections, I'm not saying they are accurate. Every one of these projections are bullshit. And we all know they spin this bullshit crap and it never ends up being that, right? Sure. Either it goes too big or it goes too small. They're never right, right? So, but still, you know, but generally speaking, you know, they are the best bet you've got in town, right? So they are saying that the IoT market is going to be $1 trillion and $7 trillion, anywhere from 2020 to 2025. Okay, you can discount it any which way you want. Go ahead, but this is the biggest number we've ever seen, ever. Okay, so but that's not the most interesting thing. The most interesting thing is they're saying that the companies that will capture half of this revenue have not been formed yet. And that is something to think about, right? Think about the internet days when Google did not exist, when Yahoo did not exist, when Facebook did not exist, right? Think about that. So to me, there have been three sort of game-changing things that have happened in my lifetime that have changed everything. One is intelligent phone, right? Second is the internet. And the third, I think, is IoT. And IoT will change everything. Change the way we live, change the way we communicate, it'll change every business, it'll change every human being, it'll change everything. Your chair will text you that somebody just moved me from this room to the other room, right? I mean, that may sound trivial, but if you're in a hospital, you know how important all that equipment is. And you don't even know what you want, right? I mean, it's just all over the place and all that stuff. So everything, the shoes we wear, you know, we'll be swallowing electronic pills which will tell us what our body chemistry is inside our body every second, every minute of the day. All these things are out there, they're going to change absolutely everything. So, you know, rising tide floats all the boats, right? And one thing good that has happened is that as years have gone by, the access to these VCs, access to these ecosystems has become easier and easier, right? I mean, the incubators and accelerators all over the country do an outstanding job of bringing the whole world to you, right? I mean, you just show up there and they do all the heavy lifting of bringing all the important people to you, right? So it's lucky. So look at in Colorado how many there are. WeWorks is bringing 3 of them here, right? I mean, so it's incredible that how these ecosystems have evolved and how much they'll do for you for nothing. For nothing. $200 you pay, $250 to be in the co-working. What the heck? That's nothing, right? I mean, and look what you get out of it. I mean, the access is incredible. So I think, you know, in that way, and I don't know if it's true or not, but my gut tells me that it's going to become easier to build billion-dollar companies even in places like Colorado, right? So I'll give you an example. A few years ago, I was speaking to a bigger audience, and I said, the VCs in Silicon Valley, how they view Colorado. So there are 2 things. 5:30, the parking lot is empty. Okay, you know, you go to a startup and 5:30 they're all gone home, or hiking, or biking, or doing all the cool things in life. In Silicon Valley, it is unimaginable that you're not working 10, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week at least. You will not have a job if you work 8 to 5 over there. Not possible, right? So I mean, of course they pay the price for it. I'm not saying that's the way to live or anything like that. Everybody has to make their choice and all that stuff. But that's what Silicon Valley is, and that nowhere else is like that. It's only Silicon Valley. I mean, it isn't that Colorado is an exception and people are working, you know, working hard in, you know, Timbuktu or anything like that. The same thing, right? But that's what they criticize Colorado for. Second thing they criticize is that the senior people in Colorado don't even believe it. What that means is that if you are the CEO of a company, if you don't believe your company will be $1 billion, you can count on it, your company will never be $1 billion. Not possible, right? So that I was doing a speech and I said, listen, today, right now, if I tell you all, I'm going to start a company in 4 years, it'll be $1 billion worth. You'll all be saying, freaking snake oil sales, you know, bullshitter. You know, yum my ass. Because nobody has seen that happen over here, right? If I make the same speech in Silicon Valley, and I say I'm going to be a $1 billion company, people are going to say, yeah, he could be one of those people too, right? Who knows, right? But that's the difference in attitude and all that stuff between there and here.
Interesting. I've never heard it explained that way. That's good. The question there was. Anyone else have another question for Vic? Oh, come on.
I'll keep going. Knowing all that you know now and where you started, which is an amazing story, what would be the greatest piece of wisdom that you think that you've acquired?
That would be what I discovered 5, 6 months into my first company, that I don't know shit.
I feel like I'm there too. So I guess what gives you the confidence of like being able to admit that? Because it ain't an easy thing to be able to know that, okay, you're up against the wall and you know the tool that you thought you had to climb that wall isn't going to get you over it.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm just doing what I want to be doing. I love it. I could care less. Don't believe it, don't believe it. I'm asking you to believe it. You want a ride, come along. If you don't think it's the right one, don't come along. It's very simple. Yes, ma'am.
So when you had started the software company in Pakistan, and you said it didn't turn around for a year and a half?
Yeah.
A year and a half is a long time.
Yeah.
So how did you get through that?
Things are not working out.
How'd you persevere through
Oh
that?
my God. I don't know. I just felt I was cornered. I couldn't abandon my friends. Okay. They had taken risks on me, and here I was growing up. So I had no place to run to. It was just, I mean, I had to change things around. I had no choice. You know, I had no choice. I was ashamed that I had just screwed with my best friends and screwed with large sums of money that they had, and I just couldn't deal with that. You know, and I have to make it work.
That's good. Question over there.
We're here.
So, thank you, by the way. Great talk. We're starting a consulting business and a coaching business that focuses on the importance of bringing uniqueness to the marketplace. And I just want to know, in your experience, can you maybe speak on the importance of uniqueness in the market versus commodification? When you were talking about what India was doing versus what you did in Pakistan. So, any opinions
I'm
on
not
how...
sure I understood your question. You're saying...
How important is it for entrepreneurs to be specialized in the marketplace?
Dude. I don't know the answer. I think people make money on commodity things. People
Right.
make money on niche specialized things. People make money on all kinds of things. So I, look at Zappos. I mean, who would have thought that somebody could come up with a breakthrough idea in the call center business, the suckiest job you can ever have? Not true. Who would have ever thought, right? I mean, they came up with one. And what an incredible thing that they have done. I mean, hey, I tell you, if anybody say that they know what's going to be successful or not, you can call them a liar that very instant, right? People do have special knowledge and all that helps them make a smarter decision, like I talked about the Silicon Valley, because that's an ecosystem in which everybody is very incestuously involved with each other, right? And they have access to information that no other place in the world has, right? So I think those kinds of things make a difference, but to say that, I mean, Uber, for heaven's sakes, I mean, it's just like, wow. I mean, ideas, people are coming up with stuff, Twitter, I mean, WhatsApp, for heaven's sakes.
Right.
Certainly you could have come up with that idea. If we can make phone calls for free and text for free, internationally.
Right.
Hello, but $50 billion, I mean,
So have you seen any kind of unifying, there's no unifying theme at all?
I'm saying that I'm 0% qualified to have an
Well, you said
opinion
that
on
too.
that. I have no clue, okay? Yes, you had a question.
You were talking about your anticipation of what was going to happen with the expansion of plug and play and the full plug, so to speak.
Yeah.
What is the growth vision for your organization? And we were talking before this about the expansions that have already happened here and in adjacent states. Where do you see this movement going? What are you going to invest?
So it has completely changed from 4 years ago to what it is today. I can't recognize it in some ways. I mean, there's some basic fundamentals that I researched before that are still the same of what I think an entrepreneurial ecosystem needs, but our implementation is completely different from what I work with plug and play on. It does not look anything like that whatsoever. So in our current model, we call ourselves an incubator, but we're really a lot more than that. We're more of an economic development play. In our real estate footprint now, which is on the average for all new locations is going to be between 100,000 and 200,000 square feet, there's 7 components. One of them is a STEM school, one of them is a makerspace, one of them is a 21st century library, one of them is a conference center. So it's not just about incubation anymore for me whatsoever. right? It is about creating an ecosystem in a city. And part of it is my reality of what happened to me my first 3 years of doing Innovation Pavilion. I had 3 major setbacks, one year after the other. And in startups, there are always setbacks. I've never ever had a startup start with a plan that we had and ended up the same plan. And it has not happened yet. In my life, neither in the view of the companies I've been closely involved with. So that much is to be expected. But I had three different challenges the first 3 years that could have shut me down. Basically could have shut me down. And another day maybe we can talk about that and all that. But that was the end result of it. And when I started with this concept, I was a leader in Colorado. It was before Galvanize. It was before anybody else had brought this concept here. And I lost that leadership position because of my challenges that I had last few years. And so partly I had to pivot. It was the same story as my very first company where I had to come up with a different plan. It was like my reality overcame the circumstances and I said, I have to have a niche, I have to have some differentiation from the market if I am going to have a national play. But some of it was forced upon me, with my circumstances, and some of it really appealed to me, what we've come up with. So it's basically, there are like 100 models out there for incubators and startups, and more coming out every day, right? But really, our target now is two things. One is cities, and the other is large corporations. We plan and intend to serve the entrepreneurs free or near free, okay? For all the services that we were providing and we intend to. And we have not yet implemented my original plan of all the services that I had intended to do when I was partnered up with Saeed Amiri, right? Because that reality brought me a whole infrastructure that I could leverage out in Silicon Valley, big, huge name. I lost all of that, right? But that was my first setback, right? So I had to pivot and I had to shift and change and all that stuff. So I still have not, 4 years later, I still have not implemented all those pieces, and I still go and visit incubators and all that, and still those differentiators, nobody has picked up. So over the next year or two, my plan is to complete my model, which is going to be serving the entrepreneur and expecting nothing in return. Absolutely nothing in return, because that I'm convinced of, you cannot make money out of startups. You cannot. It's stupidity, right, in my book, right? So basically, but I can serve the entrepreneur and monetize it differently, right? So that's the path I was on the first day, and it has pivoted and changed, and now my target is Fortune 500s and cities. And I have a compelling value proposition for both, right? So that's the path I'm on. I don't think I've seen a model quite like ours, but there are variations of it, right, out there. And there'll be 100 more, So in the meanwhile, this seems to be working, and there are barriers to entry on this one. Firstly, this model leverages what I've done for the last 30 years, right? It isn't that I'm copying anybody else. It is my own creation, really based on what I've been doing. So if you look at the 7 components of it, with all the things I've been involved with on a volunteer basis, with schools, with universities, a lot of stuff in those realms, working with cities, on economic development, on policy making. Well, that's a whole lifetime of work to learn the insights and nuances of how those things work, right? So this one is going to be a little bit difficult for somebody to just copy and create that credibility. If you want to start an accelerator today, all you need to do is go to Techstars, pay them the $7,000 fee, and get the GAN network, the entire thing, they give it to you in a silver platter that they probably spent years and years developing. What a gift they gave you. So here's a formula how to do an accelerator. You got it. You could have done nothing before. You can take their best practices, and if you're a smart person, you have a chance to make it. Our model is a little more difficult, and it has a longer cycle to build out a campus of 100 to 200,000 square feet. It is not an overnight thing, right? You need real structure behind it, real substance behind it to be able to do it, and patience, right? So, but tomorrow somebody will come up with something never thought about, and then obsoletes. Who knows?
Well, Vic, you're going to be around? You're going to stick around till 9, so if you want to talk to Vic a little bit more, I think we're going to kind of call it. We're here till whenever you guys want to leave. There's more beer and pizza and racing in the room, but I'd like to thank you